evaluate the line integral where f is equal to 3z negative y negative 3x, where c is given by r of t equals sine t cosine t t, where t is between 0 and pi. The formula is going to be basically f of r of t dotted with r prime of t dt. And so our limits are going to be from 0 to pi, and then here x is sine t, y is cosine t, t is z. So 3z is 3t, negative y is negative cosine t, and then negative 3x is negative 3 sine t. And we're going to dot product with r prime of t. So r of t, we take the derivative of r of t, so derivative sine t is cosine t, derivative cosine t is negative sine t, and the derivative of t is 1. So we're going to apply the dot product. So if 3t times cosine t is 3t cosine t, plus negative cosine t times negative sine t is cosine t sine t, plus and then negative 3 sine t times 1 is negative 3 sine t, and then dt. So now what I'm going to break this up. So let's pull out the 3, and then we'll evaluate t cosine t dt, and then cosine t sine t, and then minus 3 integral 0 to pi of sine t dt. So the easiest one will be the last integral, which we have the antiderivative sine t is negative cosine t, and then we're going from 0 to pi, so we have negative 3. If I plug in t for pi, we have negative cosine of pi is 1, and then minus negative cosine of 0 is negative 1. So this will be negative 3 times 2, which is negative 6. For the second one, we do a u substitution. We let u would be sine t, du would be cosine t dt. And then if you let u equals, or t equals 0, sine 0 is 0, so that's u is 0. When, if you plug in sine of, t equals pi into sine of pi, you also get 0. So this is basically integral from 0 to 0 of u du, which, because these numbers are the same, the integral is going to be 0. And then over here we have to use integration by parts. So we'll say u is t, du is dt, dv is cosine t dt, so v is sine t. So we do, so we have the 3 outside, then u times v, which is t sine t, minus integral v du, so sine t dt. So it's t sine t, and then this will be plus cosine t. So we're going to evaluate this from 0 to pi. So if I plug in pi, sine of pi is 0, so I'm not going to bother with that. And then we have cosine of pi is negative 1, minus, if I plug in t is 0, this becomes 0, and then we have cosine of 0, which is 1. So this is 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. So now what I have together is negative 6 plus 0 minus 6, and this gives me negative 12 as our final answer.